friends, it is Stephanie. Come on in, cop a squat, whatever it is that you do best, because I'm going to be working on a wreath. Look at these beautiful colors. Y'all, I'm going to be playing with this sign. I've got this ribbon. Lots of, look at this rust. This rust is amazing and really brings out the rust in that sign. Some teal check ribbon. So, and we're going to, this wreath kit comes with 2 rolls of mesh. I love this mesh. Love, love, love it. And I loved these 2 colors together with this sign. Okay, actually, I'm going to start and I'm going to do a regular ruffle. Yeah. And we're going to start with just a regular ruffle. Sharon, these are 20-inch cuts. So I have 2 rolls of 10-yard mesh. And I cut them at 20-inch, so there should be exactly 18 of them to go around on this wreath frame. And that's what we ended up putting in the kit as well. So you, now that we decided to make this into a kit, wanted to do that, you'll get both rolls of mesh as well. And I'm going to start the bottom row, the bottom color in the blue, just the solid blue. Oh, there goes it. All right, so I'm just going to lay this out. It's 20 inches long. I'm going to just start pinching it right up the center. And if this bothers you, you can weigh it down. It actually does help sometimes just to have some weight on it. Watch how easy this is. But I'm just going to walk right up the center and ruffle this mesh. And then as I get closer to here, I just push that out of my way. And so it makes this like a little butterfly. And I'm going to take the center of where that is and I'm going to place it right in between one of these twist ties that I already have open. So I pre-opened those, push that down there, give it a couple of tight twists, and then I'll spread that out a little so it looks like a little flowerette. And of course, I've already done the outer row, so now I'm doing the top row. So I need 2 more ruffles on the top to fill all 18 twist ties. Get that already. And I did go with the blue mesh. So this mesh, there's a difference in the mesh. The blue mesh is called a value mesh. So typically your value mesh is, of course, less expensive. However, can be a great base mesh. I mean, obviously you can see but it's going to fray a little bit more than your maybe wide foil mesh and some other meshes. So value mesh is kind of like the least expensive or the next to least expensive. I do not even buy value mesh that doesn't have the metallic in it, because I won't even stock it in the store, because it is so difficult to work with and it frays ridiculously. So I don't even stock it. But I will stock the metallic. So you see how this has the metallic stripes in it, because it's definitely a step up, and it doesn't fray near as much. But of course, all fresh mesh is going to fray. But the other mesh that comes in this kit that we picked out to go with this kit is actually a fabric mesh. So a fabric mesh is a really great quality mesh. And for this one, we're going to change things up. So you noticed how I did the curls on that, or the ruffles on that. For this one, I'm going to actually do what some people call the cruffle, or the, oh gosh, what other names do they call it? There's several names. So I just curl in the edges, and then I'm going to scrunch it together like I would a ruffle. And we're going to place that right, let's start at the bottom though, right over our blue mesh. So it's going to make a smaller ruffle doing it this way, but that's also going to allow you to see that beautiful blue underneath too. So we're going to do cruffles all the way around using the fabric mesh. Okay. All right, so a lot of times I just do it right here on my belly or my chest. I'll just curl in the edges and then crinkle it together to get that cruffle. And if you turn it this way, then you have the little curls facing outward, or you can turn it inward. That's strictly up to you what your preferences are. I'm actually going to do this with the curls outward. So I'm going to turn this one around. Okay, can you start to see the colors coming together? How stinking fun. How many of you guys have worked with fabric mesh? Do you love it or leave it? Not everybody is a mesh kind of connoisseur. Oh, let me show you this too real quick. If you use like a little clothespin or a little clip when you go to do that curl, and then that'll kind of help hold that in place while you curl the other side and then ruffle it. Using this little method where you curl in the ends first, guess what? It helps protect that mesh from fraying even more. Too much. All right, so then we decided to go with this ribbon. So you see how the ribbon choices, because I know so many people have a hard time, let me zoom in a little bit more, picking out ribbon. So the reason that we chose this ribbon to go with this kit is obviously the brown is going to pull some of the brown from the colors in this sign. You see the orange, bringing the orange from the pumpkins, and this rust color really draws the darker colors into the whole scheme. And then the final one with that teal check and of course the pumpkins. So looking at our focal point, kind of pulling colors from there, and we kept the colors darker so that when we add that to our wreath, it's going to help it stand out even more. So let's add some pipe cleaners to the back of our sign so we can attach it to our wreath. We're going to add some pipe cleaners. Well, let's talk about where we're going to put this guy. So I'm kind of a big fan of offsetting, not placing directly in the center. So I am looking at putting him a little off to the side. I mean, even just kind of right in here looks great. So I'm going to go about right there with my pipe cleaners. That is exactly what I'm going to do. Boys and girls, don't do this at home unless you know for a fact that your staples are not going to go through the wood. So I know my signs can accommodate the 1/4 inch staples without puncturing any holes out the other side. But you know, there's other signs that you might get that aren't the same thickness. So always test it out first. So, yep, right in there. So if you think about it, you know, envision where you're going to add some more flair. So when you build a wreath, you want to think about your focal points and a triangle. So if we thought about a triangle and we said this was the tip of the triangle, there's a tip up here and there's a tip down here. So here's your triangle, 1, 2, 3. So you want to think about how you're placing or where you're going to place maybe a bow, whether it be a large bow, small bow, or a focal point, so that you have the point of 3 going on here. So those are some of the things that we think about when we're designing and putting together a wreath. So let me bring it back down here and let's attach our sign. So I do the shake test. Is the sign moving around? Does it need a little tightening anywhere? I think in this case, I am going to tighten this up just a smidge more on the top. The bottom felt pretty secure. Oh yeah. And now, so not enough that I'm smashing the mesh down, but enough that it is going to sit taut onto our mesh. There we go. Good deal. Let's go ahead and trim those off. And then I just tuck those back towards the mesh. Ouch. Hopefully without getting stabbed. There we go. How fun. Now I am going to add some ribbon tails to this. So we're going to use some of these orange ribbon tails. And I think we're going to use some of the brown. It's a burlap wreath frame. So that will kind of blend in with the ties on the wreath frame. So let's cut. I actually won't need 18 because I've got a couple of those hidden. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 13, 14, 15. Let's do 16 and see where that gets us. So the sign is covering up a couple of those twist ties so they won't need a ribbon tail in them. Do a dovetail. Okay, let's get out the bow maker. Let's zoom out here, hang this guy on the wall and see what it looks like without a bow. So look at how fun this is, even without the bow. Check that out. Not too shabby where it's at, right? So let's make, remember I talked about that point of 3? So we're going to make a bow to go here and one to go here. And so let's make a couple of bows. All right, we're going to start our first bow and we're just going to do about a 6-inch tail. And we're going to start with this 2.5-inch brown and a 6-inch loop. I'm going to bring in some of that rust next. And this is fun. It's a nice fun, and of course because it's velvet, it's got that velvety touch to it. Indoor outdoor velvet ribbon in rust. And on this one we're going to do 3 loops on each side, about 5 inches. And then, of course, this fun orange next to that rust color. All right, see how we're layering those on? And we're going to top it off with that beautiful teal turquoise color with our pumpkins, because I want him to be like the star of the show. So he's going to top things off, and we're going to do 3 loops with him on the top row. I like to use 26 gauge wire, and this paddle is getting pretty low, so I have a spare one right here off to the side. Like, I already knew I wanted this bow, one of these bows, to be like really vibrant and full. So the fuller the bow, the more loops and ribbons I will use in it. And then if I want more of an accent, so this would be like a focal bow, and if I want more like an accent, I will go with less loops and sometimes even less ribbon. So this one has 4 different colors of ribbon in it. Not the next bow might have 3. Just we'll see what I feel like once I add this one on. And it truly is. It just becomes an instinctual thing. The more you make bows, the more you're like, okay. And of course you can always add to. So like this, if I decided that I wanted to add ribbon tails to it, I could still add ribbon tails and just add them right here to the back and have flowing tails, you know, coming down. So I'm not necessarily, you know, pinned into this particular bow. And let's take that. Let's just come on up here. So again, looking at that 3-point, right? So triangle, triangle, triangle. See how pretty that's going to stand out on there? Can you guys see? So using that lighter color ribbon on top helps bring that pop of color out. So that's what it looks like with the first bow. So this time we're just going to use 3 ribbons, and I'm starting out with the Rust Indoor Outdoor Velvet as our bottom color. We're still using the same ribbon that we've used consistently throughout the design. We're just going to change it up a little. And because I would like to see a little more blue pop out of this, we're going to add blue twice. So we're going to add some loops here. You can actually control what design or how you want that to appear. So just by changing up how I add the ribbon, and then in this case, we're going to use this blue twice. So we'll have a little bit more blue prominent in this one. Do a couple loops on each side of the orange. And go back to blue. So this one doesn't have as much of the darker color, that tan or beige, whatever. I think it's called tan, that particular color. You know, this one is going to be a thicker one. This one is actually going to be about 10 inches deep. So I said 8 inches. I made my bows pretty full, so it's going to be 10 inches deep. Yeah, crazy, right? But I love how it turned out. I think the girls are going to love it too. So anyway, thanks for hanging out while we made our order, and I'll be making another one sometime soon, I'm sure. All right, guys, you have a great night. Thank you so much for hanging out, and just being here, just being a part of Festive Creations. I will see you all soon.